Let's move over to Liverpool. It was pretty shocking to hear Mo Salah, who rarely talks to journalists outside of his necessary duties, reveal that he hasn't been offered a new contract. Are you shocked to hear this? Because it feels like all of these contract negotiations with Trent and Van Dijk and Salah, arguably their three most important players of the last decade, have been a little bit strange.
Well, we've been talking about all three of them for the last 6 months, and we've both been surprised how long it's been taken. Yes, I was surprised to hear Mo speaking like that. He doesn't normally speak to the media, and certainly to say what he said was strange. But then again, look, I've been there before. When you've got agents or players, you're in the middle of a contract negotiation. You take a position, and you try and get the media to help your position in some way or another. Obviously, although he may not have been offered a contract, his agent may have been. This may just be, a bit of a grey area in terms of the words that we're using here, and it's all part of a bigger play. So, it's difficult. I'm surprised though that Mo isn't already booked up and down to Saudi. I think that would be the next big move, and I've been saying I thought it was imminent for the start of last season. I think it's even more imminent this summer. But Liverpool have got to make a decision on a 32-year-old, and he wants a 3-year contract apparently, and that's a lot to pay for somebody that's, although he's in great shape, it's a lot to pay. So there'll be a lot to decide with Liverpool. They'll be taking all their data points and everything else together, working on how they think they can fill his spot if he was to go. A lot of decisions, but the contract itself, I think, this is a bit of a smokescreen. Both sides probably want to try and get something done, but it's going to be around the detail. And they're going to try and get leverage in the negotiation from the media as best they can.
So walk me through this if you're Mo Salah. Have you spoken with your agent prior to the Southampton match and said, regardless of result, let's bring it up in your press game conference? Are you just kind of saying this so that you already have a plan to walk and you don't want to be looked at like by Liverpool fans as someone who didn't take their last contract offer? Like, what is kind of the thought behind all of this if you're Mo Salah and maybe already made a decision on your future?
Well, look, obviously, I don't know what went on, but I would say it's very likely, especially after he scored, that he may have had a chat quickly to his agent and said, "Look, Mo, you're at the fans' favourite today, the flavour of the week, completely. Let's try and get the fans on our side, and let's pile pressure on the owners to try and get us this last bit of negotiation over the hurdle with the club." That's the sort of thing I think that could have happened. That's one scenario. Obviously, don't know what happened, but I've seen it before when I have had players or agents go public to try and get the fans on their side, to pile pressure onto the club, and that can happen. It's business and it's legitimate. It's a tactic. Nothing wrong with it. It's just the way it is. But I'm sure fans know that Fenway are very good operators, and they will not talk to Mo about the contract or his agent. It's just the way that the words are being used to say, "I've not been offered a contract." Well, I'm sure there's been discussion around terms. So, let's not get too carried away with it. But certainly to me, it seemed out of character for Mo to be so outspoken and to be so clear on his thoughts. But anyway, let's just see how it ends up, because I think it's obviously coming to a pretty crucial decision. And it could be whether he gets 2 years or 3 years could be the difference. So let's wait and see how that plays out.
And Fenway Sports Group, we know that they're not the biggest investors, not only just in Liverpool, but the Red Sox fans have had plenty of their issues. And just in general, as an investment group, they are more about profit. But will they see this great start to the season, 8 points at the top of the table, giving themselves a gap over Manchester City and Arsenal? Will they see this as a reason to invest in the squad in January, maybe bring in some backups at some positions where if they were to lose a Gravenberch or a McAllister, they'd be very short in those areas?
Well, they've proven that, and Liverpool has shown itself as well, that they've been able to read those sort of things happening if there's a problem and get back up in place. And in January, I would expect Arne Slot to speak to the sporting directors and decide what would be needed in terms of insurance policies, as well as any strengthening that could be required. So yes, I think when you've got an 8-point lead, it's a bit like a golfer, isn't it? I mean, you've got 8 strokes and you're going into the last day. You want to do everything you can to play pretty safe and hit every green. So it's Liverpool's to lose at the moment. So yes, they should be investing in insurance policies and even strengthening to try and make sure they bring it home. Because we all know what the Premier League title means these days. It's a huge financial success. So there will be room for Fenway to do that, I think, and I think they will try and do it because it also increases the value of the club immensely. So there's every reason and everything's right for them to do that. And I would think Liverpool should be putting those insurance policies in place, certainly.
And does it make it a little bit easier to spend in January when you're likely three of your biggest spenders may not even be at the club the next year? You kind of know you have a little bit more leeway in your ability to spend?
Well, you've got to think of the next few weeks before the window that they're going to try and bring those three situations to some sort of conclusion. And then you've got a much clearer idea in January where you're going to be going. Notoriously, though, January is a very tough window to find the right quality at the right price. So there'll be a lot of different things to balance up. But overall, I still expect Liverpool to be probably getting one or two in. But it'll all depend, I think, how the Trent, the Van Dijk, situations go. And there should be some sort of certainty, I think, before Christmas.
And would you be worried as a Liverpool fan or player or anybody in the club that any of these three players can sign a pre-contract with a international club, a club not in England in January, and how that might distract from a big title push?
Well, of course, but again, we know those are the facts, so you have to take actions ahead of time, as I say, to mitigate and to have insurance policies in place. And that's what they're going to try and do. And Fenway have got a very good football management group there. Michael Edwards will be masterminding the whole thing. And I've got every belief that they'll be taking the appropriate actions. If it turns out and we sit here at the end of the season and they've lost the title because they didn't take action in January, I'll be very, very surprised. But anyway, here we are. Let's see how we go.